Headquartered in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Garner Foods is a family-owned and managed manufacturer famous for its Texas Pete hot sauce, a leading brand of hot sauce in the United States. Founded in 1929 as a maker of barbecue sauce, the company now sells a full line of hot sauces, wing sauces, and seafood sauces under the Texas Pete brand, as well as salsas and tortilla strips under the Green Mountain Gringo brand. WinPak is proud to partner with Garner Foods to provide the equipment needed to package their single-serve products efficiently with high-quality packaging materials and innovative packaging machines. Garner Foods utilizes a series of W18 pouch machines to provide their customers with the high-quality product that they expect. Haywood Garner, Chief Operations Officer for Garner Foods, and Gerard Lambert, Executive Vice President, explain why they chose WinPak for their packaging needs.
Before we engaged with WinPak, most of our product, our portion control was outsourced. All of it was, actually. And we didn't believe that we had the expertise or the ability to do that work in-house. It took a vote of confidence, largely with our sort of amongst all of our management, to make that investment and figure out how to invest in those machines, invest in WinPak, and have you guys help us learn how to make portion control products.
So I've been putting equipment systems in place for a number of decades now, so I'm kind of aging myself by making that statement. But what I've leaned on most when I make equipment decisions and build systems is relationships. So knowing the person or the company in a more less than transactional way has always proven to be a positive thing for me and the choices that I pitch for how I'm going to build a system. And WinPak was one of those. It wasn't a transactionally oriented company. It seemed to be a long-standing, really supportive, will stick by you through the thick and thin of any situation. So that to me was one of the main reasons that WinPak stood out from all the choices there are from an equipment provider standpoint.
When we started looking for solutions to help us figure out how to better handle our portion control business, you know, I'm not sure exactly where it starts, but I'll bet it was probably at Pack Expo. We found a lot of good contacts over the years through Pack Expo, and I know that we've engaged with WinPak for quite a long time, largely through Pack Expo, but elsewhere out in the world now too.
Well, you know, we met you guys at the ADS. At least my first experience with you was at ADS and the technical in Charleston, I think it was, South Carolina. And that was about the time that we were looking to choose a provider, and just kind of fell in the lap. It was one of those easy finds. And then obviously seeing your footprint at Pack Expo was pretty impressive. There's not a lot of folks that have the size booth that you guys typically have. And that's telling in a lot of ways, because many of the ones that you'd be considered to be, I guess, a competitor of WinPak, they're not going to have the booth size that you guys have. Not that booth size is always that important, but in this case, I think it does indicate that you're a player and that you're in it to stay.
There is, how do I say this? When you're out in the marketplace, there's obvious A-listers, and then you've got your B players and your C players. And speaking personally, when I'm out in the world and I see WinPak's product, when I see WinPak cups and packets and portion control everywhere I go, that to me says that WinPak is an A player. So as much volume as I see that's out there in the world, if WinPak is in all these different places, all these different restaurants, all these different schools and colleges and universities, WinPak must be pretty good at what it does.
I think the most important thing that we've achieved with portion pack equipment from WinPak is the sheer magnitude of packets that we've been able to produce from those pieces of equipment. Who's consuming all these is always a question I ask myself every day. I look at the line running and it's ka-chunk packs coming off, and just box after box. And it's just amazing the quantity that we can produce from the system that we've got. And it's still never enough. We've fortunately been able to see sales grow year over year, and we continue to leverage the machinery. We're actually running the equipment at 10% faster than you expect it to run, and we've been consistently able to do that over the full duration of time. We've gone through, I think the original machine we've gone through now, it's 3 rebuilds, maybe 4. And that's, I think, right on track with what you predicted it to be. Every 3-4 years, you're going to have to go through a rebuild, depending on how much we abuse the system. And we've seen very reliability of the equipment is one thing that was a subject that was a deterrent for us to get into this business for a long time. That we couldn't do it. We were not able to technically be able to manage the process that the system requires. That proved to be not the case at all. We've been able to manage it, and it's through the support of WinPak that we've been able to do that.
I don't know that I can point to any one thing that's made me happy about working with WinPak, but one of the things that I do think stands out is ease of use for us. It's pretty, I shouldn't say easy, but it is relatively easy for us to onboard someone and get them familiar with the WinPak machine and have them up and running and training as an operator. More so than most any of our other production lines or packaging lines. One thing that we've achieved since we've started using WinPak's product and services is the production of 750 million impressions a year, I think, right around there. That's pretty cool. We always like to talk with groups, like school groups, when they come through, and that's one of the neat little tidbits we like to toss out there. How many of those do you think we make in a year? You know, it's always, 10,000 or 50,000. No, you're way too low. You got to go way higher. So I'm proud of that achievement. That's pretty neat that we get to say that.
So packet sales over the 10 plus years that we've been in the business of making packets have considerably grown year after year, organic growth in a lot of ways, but it's been growing year after year. Another attribute that contributed to the need for capacity growth was the lack of labor that we experienced during COVID, and supply chain challenges were one part of it, but labor was also another part. Finding folks to actually want to do the jobs that are required around the sachet machines has always been a challenge. So that was another aspect that we looked at integrating with the capacity growth, was to also look at ways to reduce labor. So the new system that we just recently installed takes away a good portion of the folks after the packet machine does its magic to automate the process of putting the packets into the cases that we sell to our customers. So labor reduction was a part of it, capacity growth, the need for more packets. So we effectively doubled our production capability with this new system expansion.
I think that buying anything that's made in the U.S. and that is assembled in the U.S. and that has part support in the U.S. is incredibly important to our business. Knowing that WinPak has parts and service in the United States that's based here in the United States, knowing that WinPak builds machines in the United States is very important to us here at Garner Foods.
Equipment providers are all over the world, and making that distance from us to them as short as possible has always been one attribute that I'll factor into the equipment decision process. When I'm putting together a system, how far away is the provider? How much can they provide from a service standpoint? WinPak is a U.S. provider. That was an attribute that we were keen on having.
If someone were to ask me about getting into the market and using WinPak to handle their needs for their portion control or their single serve, I'd absolutely tell them to go for it. There is nothing about our experience or relationship with WinPak that gives me any heartburn. WinPak has been a fantastic partner for Garner Foods, and if someone were asking me about where to start, WinPak's an A player, and WinPak machines are top notch.